Okay, so in this video we're going to try and demonstrate how partner koryu kata can be just amazingly exciting and challenging, even if you've done them thousands of times over decades. If it's difficult to understand or accept that essentially drill practice can stay that fresh and interesting, it is in part because koryu kata have the potential to do far more than simply replicate combat technique. However, how they do this is very often hidden. It may be deliberately concealed, or it may be due to an inherent factor due to the design of the kata, or it could be in the way that the kata is demonstrated. So in order to demonstrate these things, we are going to today be using a slightly adapted sequence from one of our kata from our own school. So the sequence involves a swordsman against either a staff man or a spearman. For the purpose of this video, we're going to refer to it as spear. It can be either way. So it is hyper-realistic, like a lot of koryu kata, in the sense that it's very unlikely to literally occur in a combat, but it's not impossible either. So the hyper-realism begins after I've done the first attack. The easiest thing and the most practical thing at this point would be to take either hand, rather than disengage, which is what I actually do, and the whole fold back is both time consuming and impractical. In reality, it would be far better simply to thrust as the spearman is retreating. Also, of course, the spearman's response to my attack, turning his back, is extremely unlikely to happen. Turning your back on the enemy obviously is never something you want to do on purpose. Well, at this point the sequence does not seem very interesting and certainly wouldn't have held my attention for 30 years, nor does it seem very useful in terms of combat training. However, everything changes once you add some intent. Now that the swordsman makes an effort to actually reach his target, the spearman has to be extremely agile to avoid the cut, whether to a hand, wrist, or if close enough, to his head or chest. So at this point, it seems like once intent is added, all the pressure is on the spearman. But once the spearman starts to come out of his turn, things change. The faster and with more intent the swordsman attempts to reach and cut the spearman, the more his momentum becomes a problem if the spearman manages to keep enough distance between them. It is the spearman's job to bring the weapon down as close to the swordsman's face as possible, so that it acts not just as a deterrent, but he actually runs into it, which does happen. So what are the benefits of this sequence? Well, there are many. First of all, it provides a huge athletic challenge, requiring agility, speed and control. The spearman's last technique is especially challenging. He must not only turn very quickly while visually tracking the swordsman, but he must place the spear down very accurately, while at the same time altering his distance by hopping back and extending the weapon simultaneously so as to avoid getting hit. As for the swordsman, trying to reach the target without running into the spear requires fast reflexes and judgment of distance. But it is the psychological stress that this kata puts both parties under, which to me is the real genius of it. Even before you're able to invoke the spontaneous state of mind I talked about in the previous video, it is hard to convey just how genuinely unpleasant and unnerving doing this kata is. To the point where every time you do it, you come out of it relieved that you've made it through. And then part of you doesn't want to do it again. But then another part of you does want to do it because there is such a sense of realism to it, even though the techniques within it aren't literally combatively realistic. The sense of being in a fight is very real.